think the flyover's coming, folks. From the Condor Squadron, give him a nice hand. Let's have a nice hand for the Burbank Community Band under the direction of Paulette Westfall. Thank you. Wonderful pre-ceremony music. Thank you for being here. Before we get started, we want to do the Armed Forces Medley. And let's have a nice hand again for the Condor Squadron, the beautiful flyover. And thanks again to Cusimano Realty Group for sponsoring our flyover. We couldn't do it without Cusimano Realty. Thank you all very, very much. And now, if any veteran, a service member, wants to stand for their service theme song, please feel free to do so. So let's hear the Burbank Community Band, and when your theme song comes on, please stand. Thank you. U.S. Army.
U.S. Navy.
U.S. Navy, all right. nice hand for the Burbank Community Band and Paulette Westfall for our service medley. Great job. Thank you. We're lucky to have the Burbank Community Band here every year.
Thank you very much.
Before we get into our ceremony, I'd like us to observe a moment of silence for the 19 children and 2 teachers who lost their lives in Uvalde, Texas, and keep the families and everybody in our thoughts and prayers. And so let's have a moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you. I also want to mention, before we start the formal ceremony, we have a 103-year-old World War II veteran here today. His name is Bazooka Joe. Welcome, sir. He's in uniform. I want to give you a little bit of background on Sergeant Pietroforte. He fought under George Patton, 5th Army, Big Red 1. His name is recognized in the Battle of the Bulge Museum. He served his country along with 2 brothers in World War II, and another brother served in Korea. And his father served in World War I in the Italian Army. So to say his family has done their part is an understatement. God bless you, sir. Thank you for joining us, and we're going to count on you being here Veterans Day, so we're going to hold you to it. Thank you. God bless you, and your family, and your wonderful caregivers. Also today, one of our longtime Burbank volunteers was on the senior board, and also on our Veterans Committee, Mr. Hank Deal passed away during COVID, and his wife Janet is doing a memorial service for him on July 15th. At the Veterans Cemetery, they're going to have a military ceremony for him, and then they're going to have a memorial get-together at the VFW from 3:30 until 6, July 15th. We'll be posting this on the Facebook portal for the VFW, and we'll be passing out flyers at all our breakfasts and everything. But we want to remember Hank today for not only his service to our country, but his wonderful volunteerism throughout the years. Him and Janet, they volunteer for everything. They're wonderful for our community. And we want to remember Hank today on this special day, Memorial Day. Thank you. July 15th, 3:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the VFW, 8310 at 1006 West Magnolia. And now for the presentation of colors by the Boy Scout Troop 219 under the direction of Paul Cervelli. Is he here? They're on their own. That's great. All right. Thank you. And now for the national anthem to be sung by Alexa Ruiz, John Burroughs High School Powerhouse Choir.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early but so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rattling, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please prepare yourself in the manner of your custom. As we come together to honor the sacrifice of those that have paid the highest price so that we may be called Americans, let's pause to ask our great Creator to bless their eternal souls. Heavenly Father, as a community, we remember the lives lost and those at home whose lives were changed forever. We remember your love for us, and that there is no greater demonstration of love than lay down your life for another. May our reflection today honor those that made the sacrifice, as well as those that remain vigilant in their love for others, for our nation, and for peace throughout the world. Amen.
And now, please remain standing for the flag salute by veteran Eric Reyes of the Burbank Veterans Committee. Mr. Reyes.
Good morning. Veterans, go ahead and render salute. Everyone else, hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Be seated, please. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Eric. Before I introduce Bobby Cranston to sing God Bless America, I'd like to mention our colleague on the Veterans Committee and a longtime supporter of veterans throughout her lifetime, Miss Pat Walmsley, who is a real tradition here singing God Bless America. She's doing well. She's recovering. She had an operation, but she can't wait to be back here on Veterans Day, and she wanted to let everybody know, especially the veterans and their families of Gold Star families, that she loves them and she prays for them. And I just told Pat that we'll miss her today, but we're fortunate to have Bobby to do the rendition of the God Bless America. Also, any of the Gold Star families that are here today, this is what Memorial Day is all about. We remember the fallen and the families whose heart was torn out when their loved one was killed in a service, brave service of our country. We're here today for them. We're not here today for Memorial Day sales, Memorial Day. It's not a happy Memorial Day. It's a somber occasion. But later on during the day, when they have a pause to remember, after that, we do rejoice in our freedoms and realize that we are lucky to be here today. And we need to live our lives in service of people, and also in remembrance of all the people, men and women, who have bravely gone to war and not come home. We're very blessed to be here, and I'm sure everybody here knows that, but I just wanted to bring that out today. And now Miss Bobby Cranston with God Bless America. Thank you, Bobby. Let's give another nice hand for Bobby Cranston. Before I introduce Lieutenant Colonel Worley, could we please have veterans, if you'd like, to please stand and be recognized, all veterans here today? God bless you, my brothers and sisters. God bless each and every one of you. Thanks for being here today. And now I'd like to introduce Lieutenant Colonel David Worley to do the POW MIA ceremony. Colonel Worley.
Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the POW MIA table behind me. At this time, I ask that you remain seated yet silent as I conduct the POW MIA table ceremony. This ceremony is rich with military tradition, as we honor those men and women of the armed forces who, in the defense of this great country and that of the free world, are unaccounted for and are classified as prisoners of war or missing in action. We are specifically honoring Thousands of Americans held prisoner of war since the days of the American Revolution. Some died from disease and starvation. Some perished in death marches. Most were killed in combat. Their remains never found. Some were tortured, some were lost, gone from their families forever. All were deprived of their liberties so that you may enjoy yours. At all military functions where meals are served, these heroes are always honored and remembered. The table is set for our prisoners of war and those missing in action from all wars. They are not with us today. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their intentions to respond to their nation's call to arms so that their children could remain free. The place settings represent each branch of our armed forces. Let us remember all the men and women, prisoners of war, and missing in action that are too often forgotten. We must never forget them. The lone candle on the table symbolizes the frailty of a prisoner alone, trying to stand up against their oppressors. The yellow candle and the yellow ribbon on the candle reminds us of those who will not be coming home. The single red rose reminds us of the loved ones and families of our comrades in arms who keep the faith and await their return. The red ribbon on the rose represents the love of our country, which inspired these heroes to answer the nation's call. The black napkins on the table represent the emptiness that these warriors have left in the hearts of their families and friends. A slice of lemon is on the bread plate to remind us of their bitter fate if we do not bring them home. There is salt on the plate, reminding us of their families' tears as they wait and remember. The glass is inverted, reminding us that our distinguished comrades cannot be with us to join us in today's ceremony. Maybe tomorrow, if we remember. The faded picture on the table is a reminder that they are missed very much and are remembered by their families. The empty tilted chair depicts an unknown face, representing no specific soldier, sailor, airman, guardian, marine, or Coast Guardsman, but each are here with us today. The POW-MI flag is posted behind me to mourn the fact that many of our comrades will not return to our shores, and to pay tribute to their passing. When the ceremony is over and you look upon this empty table, do not remember ghosts from the past, but please remember our comrades. Remember those whom we all depended on in battle. They depend on us to bring them home. Remember our friends. They are the ones we love, who love life and liberty as we do. They will remember what we do. Please honor and remember them. Let us now have a moment of silence in remembrance of our prisoners of war and those still missing in action. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Colonel Worley. And now I'd like to introduce the Honorable Mayor of Burbank, Jess Talamantes.
Good morning, everyone. Glad to see you here. Beautiful day. I think Mickey called ahead to have this day. So nice. Yes, thank you. We need that. So on behalf of the Burbank City Council, I am honored to be here with you today. Today we come together as a community to pay tribute to the men and women who fought so bravely and gave the ultimate sacrifice to protect the peace and freedom of our great nation. Before I proceed with the introductions of the elected officials, I'd like for everybody to stand up, please, and observe a moment of silence for what happened this past week and many other events that have happened throughout the many years. Just our thoughts and prayers are with the families of Uvalde, Texas. So let's observe a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Thank you. Please be seated. So I'd like to begin by recognizing a few city officials. Right now we have Councilmember Bob Frutos, Councilmember Sharon Springer, and Councilmember Nick Schultz. Let's see, we also have representative on behalf of the U.S. Congressman Adam Schiff's office is here. Representative on behalf of the U.S. Congressman Brad Sherman's office is here. We have Senator Anthony Portentino with us. We have Assemblymember Laura Friedman as well here. And we have United States Congressman Adam Schiff. Also with us this morning is City Manager Justin Hess. And Assistant City Manager Judy Wilkie. And Parks and Recreation Director Marissa Garcia. And the Burbank Parks and Recreation Board Chair, Barry Gussow. And I'd like to call Mickey back to the stage. Bring back to the podium.
Thank you, Mayor Talamantes. Before I go any further too, I'd like to introduce my wonderful colleagues on the Veterans Burbank Veterans Committee. Without the city staff and our Veterans Committee, we wouldn't be able to do this. So could all my fellow committee members please stand? We have some over here too. These are just great people who want to do one thing. Their whole goal is to do our ceremonies as best as we possibly can for veterans and their families. And also thank you to Jenny Griffin and Dave Mudgett, our 2 point people from the Park and Rec Department. As always, thank you to the Burbank City Council for their support. And last but certainly not least, all of you people who attend our ceremonies every year without fail. And you support Burbank veterans in a great way, and thank you for that. It means a lot. And now on to to me, this is the most important part of our Memorial Day ceremony. It's called the Ceremony of the Rose. And I'd like to introduce my colleague on the committee, Mike McDaniel, who is our 2 historian for our Veterans Committee, and a retired city employee, Mr. Mike McDaniel, and a BHS alum.
Good morning or afternoon. This is the beginning of the ceremony of the rose. Today I'd like to say a few things about the ceremony and how this got started. Many years ago, approximately in 1950, the Gold Star Mothers and the original Burbank Veterans Committee had formed a group that decided that they wanted to honor those who were lost in World War II. Amongst them, their sons, their husbands, the brothers and sisters. They formed a rose garden very similar to the one that is behind us, but it was up on the tennis court area there in 3 different plots where they had planted the roses. And some of those roses have been transplanted and are still growing down here and been here since 1950 to honor those who had lost their lives and to pay a place where they could go and remember their lost children, husbands, wives, and others. One thing that the Gold Star Mothers decided to do was to take a book, this is one of them, and put it into the Burbank Public Library with a little seal in the front of it that says in memoriam, listing names of their lost, killed in action children. This book is one of the few that remains. Most of them are no longer in the library at all anymore. Coming forward in 1969, they built the obelisk, which you see behind us, to honor the Vietnam veterans in the beginning. Now, this has become the gathering place. Thanks to Mickey DiPaolo and a committee in the late 80s, they built the plaques and put the names out here in a very permanent display so that we can come here, read the names, remember, and honor their sacrifice. All of the names which we will read today gave up their tomorrows so that we can have this opportunity to be here today and all of the opportunities which we have had throughout all of our lives. The ceremony of the rose allows their names to be heard in this community again. Some of these names have not been here for 104 years, the World War I names. Some 70 to 80 years from World War II and Korea, and the Vietnam for 50 to 60 years. And now, as we begin this ceremony, we will honor each one of them by placing a rose upon the monument. The Scouts will participate in this, but thanks to Mayor Talamontes and his prior suggestion that and I'm saying this now, any of you who are related to any one of the names on our plaque have the opportunity to come up and join the Scouts when their name is to be read, and you may place the rose on the monument for your relative. And we will now begin the ceremony with the World War I names. Everybody ready? Okay. For the 104 years ago, Manuel Chaffino, Harry Leslie Colton, Ray Frederick Enos, James M. McLeod. That's the end of the World War I names. We'll now start with the World War II, beginning with Edwin V. Anderson, Herbert E. Anderson Jr., Winston H. Arnold, Lee M. Baguer, Warren A. Barker, John Webb Barr, Clinton D. Barton, Neville A. Barton Jr., Harold Beadle Jr., Francis Claire Beasley, Kenneth E. Bell, James A. B.A., Warren R. Blakesman, Donald L. Blakesley, Arthur R. Bode, Rex Bobby, Herman L. Bauer, Louis C. Brammer, Donald N. Broman, Floyd L. Broman, Richard H. Bunbaugh, Albert B. Byland, H. Campbell, David L. Carrillo, Delbert Ben Carr, Robert W. Chambers, Glenn E. Chapman, John Morris Chase, Fernando Chavez, John Chauvinek, Charles Christopher, Jack Clark, Alfred W. Cole, Walter Leon Collier. Walter was the first casualty from Burbank in World War II. He was killed on the USS Oklahoma at Pearl Harbor. Roy Canero, Paul G. Cassandier, Norvin F. Craig, Claire C. Cross, Wallace Crowder, William Monroe Dance, James G. Davis, Tello DeSantis, Robert A. Dibb, C. W. Dickens, Ronald Dinsmore, John A. Dorgan, Perry L. Dreyer, Richard H. Dunbar, Richard E. Dunkelberger, Edwin L. Ebbinger, A. O. Ellerman, Glenn O. Elliott, Harley A. Ellis, Keith Edwin Ellis, Webb D. Elmaker, N. J. Elrott, Eugene Lloyd Farthing, Robert A. Frank, Leo Fratella, Raymond O. Fulford. Now I'd like to turn the time over to Bill Anderson, and Andrew, excuse me, who will continue the reading of the names.
James H. Gamblin, Ruben Garcia, George Jean, Edward G. Gentz, Charles A. Geddes, Douglas Lawrence Goff, Raymond M. Gonzalez, Albert Boos, Edwin S. Green, John R. Gugerty, Joseph H. Hackwell, Edward J. Hadrava, C. F. Hagerstrom, Gaylord Grant Hanley, Jack Henry Harder, Patrick Harmon, Alvin R. Hart, Warren G. Haviland, Archie F. Haviland Jr., Richard D. Hayward, Lawrence Headley, Ole E. Hendrickson, Harold P. Hepburn, George C. Herron, Robert A. Herzog, Herman H. Hetzel, Howard L. Hickenlooper, Donald R. Henshaw, Norman A. Hollis, Felton E. Horton, Robert W. Howard, Thomas S. Punter, Aubrey Hearn, Kurt Francis Jennings, Glenn E. Jewett, Arvin E. Johnson, Robert Johnson, Forrest J. Johnston Jr., Wayne A. Jones, Ernest A. L. Kern, Richard Kimball, Henry F. Kinsey, William N. Kirkland, Max Kruger, Thomas Lake, and Donald A. Landis.
James C. Landsberger, Melvin Lieberman, Sam Lieberman, Albert L. Lemon, Gordon R. Lofgren, John S. Lombard, Charles S. Lonergan, Harry O. Long, Lawrence R. Long, Earl J. Loudon, Eugene P. Madole, Wilbur C. Matern, William F. McChesney, Vernon McElmurray, Jack McHenry, Robert McNish, William A. Messina, George E. Milburn, William G. Montanandan, J. Morris, Joe Morris, William J. Morrison, Troy B. Mullinex, Alvin W. Messon, Douglas L. Muchler, James William Myers, Norman Lewis Myers, Wesley N. Myers, Warren F. Nielsen, Harold J. Nelson, Carl V. Nelson Jr., Frank C. O'Donnell, Friend W. Otello, Peter G. Ogborn, William B. Parker, Robert Spencer Patterson, William A. Pelkey, Floyd G. Penry, Jack R. Paris, John Pinkerton, John Frederick Plouffe, J. A. Pritchard Jr., James G. Purdy, Bartholomew P. Quint, Glenn Rain, Douglas R. Richards, Joseph P. Risden, Gerald Roberts. I'll turn it over to fellow committee member and shipmate Stephen Moss.
Virgil A. Robertson, B. C. Robinson, Daniel Rossi, Fred C. Rowland, William A. Rutledge, John Samorian, Quentin L. Sandall, Daniel A. Sonder, Creighton E. Schaefer, George R. Schaefer, Roy Clifford Shear, Robert E. Schmidt, C. E. Schmidnicki, Robert L. Shug, Paul Schwartz, W. E. Seagren, Arthur B. Sherman, J.J. Signorelli, Nathan Silver, Jess Edward Simpson, Edwin F. Slocum, Roger A. Smith, Elmer E. Snodgrass, W. M. Alexander Snyder, Charles Rogers Steele, Dudley M. Steele Jr., Sam Stillmelo Jr., Clark D. Stone, Myron K. Strickland, William S. Stripe, August W. Sulflo, Joseph M. Sundin, Richard Sussman, R.A. Swenson. Or excuse me, Ray A. Swenson. Walter Merle Taylor. William E. Taylor. Philip B. Taylor Jr. Robert L. Teagart. Milton A. Tolman. Charles Franklin Townsend. Nelson R. Troop. Richard E. Tall. Don Van Atta. Walter Vernon. Lloyd L. Wade. Bernard P. Walmsley. Paul Dale Warnes. W.M. Taylor Wattenberger. Ray Weber. Albert O. Whedon. Robert P. Westbrook. Arthur J. White. James David Whittinghall. Robert V. Wickers. Donald L. Wickersham. Jack Wiles. Johnson B. Wiles Jr. Richard D. Williams. John Andrew Wilson. Robert K. Wilson. Ronald H. Wingett. Albert A. Wyatt. William H. York. John T. Zimmerman. And for Korea, I will turn it over to my colleague, Christopher Thomas.
Okay, thank you. She wants me just to add James Strawbridge. He used to work at the Lockheed plant. Now I'll turn it over to Korea.
Thank you, Stephen. These are the names of the fallen during the war in Korea. James R. Addis, William J. Barnes, Donald S. Bills Jr., Bobby S. Box, Edward L. Conyers, Max L. DeRosset, David M. Ellis, James Homer Elliott, Foster L. Delmar, Edwin Jiren, Curtis A. Hatfield, William C. Caron, Charles Frank Kirk, George R. Klein, Alfred J. Ledger Jr., Burton H. Levinson, Michael LaMagna, Arnold Nally, Larry L. Shiner, John D. Varney, Robert V. Wilson. Rest in peace. To read the names of the Vietnam fallen is businessman and former city councilman Gary Brick. Jerry Joe Allen, Robin R. Annis, James M. Ball, Stephen P. Barnett, Christopher P. Battaglia, Arthur Skip E. Vidal, James A. Bean, Edward Allen Bell, my brother, Private First Class William H. Brick III, Brian E. Bullock, Felix A. Calderon, Robert J. Campbell, Donald E. Close, Michael J. Corrigan, Thomas B. Daly, John A. DeRue, Frank A. DeFiglia, Douglas J. Despensiero, Reese C. Elia Jr., Alan L. Elmore, Daniel P. Elas, Terry M. Enriquez, James F. Flickinger, James H. Flickinger, Stephen D. Francis, John A. Jaro, Wayne E. Halstead, Stephen P. Hansen, Norbert P. Alasapol, Robert K. Huell. And at this time, I'd like to invite Rich Grahams up here to read the second half.
Scott W. Igulden, Douglas R. Johnson, George F. Kepper, Steve M. Knopfel, James W. Kerr, Ronald R. King, Howard L. Klinsky, Edward L. Crossman, Edward R. Latournet, Vaughn M. Liebersnet. Well, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Larry L. Maxim. Larry was a Medal of Honor winner. Gary T. McLean, Michael McKeever, David Moreland, Donald L. Morrison, Andrew J. Payne Jr., Stephen D. Pleasant, William C. Proctor Jr., Paul V. Quaglier, Robert W. Robinson, David Salisbury, Charles P. Searles, Larry Steffen, Gunther R. Donis, Kenneth J. Webb, Patrick Wayne Wilkes, and last, Jack P. Wilson Jr. And that's the reading of the Vietnam vets. Thank you.
May they all rest in peace and live a beautiful, eternal life. Thank you to my colleagues on the committee for the wonderful reading of the names, which is, this is the most important part of the ceremony. And God bless each and every family member who lost a loved one in the service of their country. And now I think a song that's really appropriate. A lot of our men and women went off to war at a very young age, and they never had the privilege to grow old like we do. And we should value that each and every day because they laid their lives for us and to enjoy this wonderful country. We're struggling, but we're going to be okay. There's no doubt in my mind. It's because of the men and women that are now serving our country. They're going to protect our freedoms. And we need to be grateful for that every single day and come by these memorials and just kind of have a little moment of silence to yourself as we reflect on the true cost of freedom. And now, I'd like to introduce Miss Bobby Cranston to sing Forever Young. Enjoy. And her husband, Bryce, to accompany her on the guitar. Thank you.
May God bless and keep you always. May your wishes all come true. May you always do for others and let others do for you. May you build a ladder to the stars and climb on every rung. May you stay forever young. Forever young. Forever young. May you stay forever young. May you grow up to be righteous. May you grow up to be true. May you always know the truth and see the light surrounding you. May you always be courageous. Stand upright and be strong. May you stay forever young. Forever always be busy. May your feet always be swift. May you have a strong foundation when the winds of change shift. May your heart always be joyful. May your song always be sung. May you stay forever young.
little bit, so I know I got a loud mouth, so you can probably hear me way back there, I bet. So, we get, oh, perfect, all right, great. Now it's my honor to introduce, once again, the Honorable Mayor Jess Talamantes.
Yes, just in time. As Mayor of the City of Burbank, it is a great honor to participate in this ceremony as we honor the brave men and women from the Burbank community and throughout our great nation who so bravely gave their lives in the defense of our wonderful country. Our Memorial Day, we pause to remember those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. I know it's been mentioned before, but I think we have to mention it again as well. We can't forget. It's been said, today we remember them, but we should remember them tomorrow. 365 days a year, they should always be remembered. I urge all Americans to recognize the valor and sacrifice of these men and women. Let us honor our fallen heroes who have proved their heroism, bravery, and belief in the American way of life. We would also like to acknowledge the mothers, fathers, husbands, wives, and other family members who provided strength and support to their loved ones serving in the armed forces. As family members and community members, let us never forget the men and women who have lost their lives defending the United States of America, so we can be here today remembering them. Today we honor their memory and pay tribute to those brave individuals. The Burbank City Council and the Veterans Committee thank each of you for attending today's ceremony. May God bless the United States of America, and may God bless Burbank. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to thank the Veterans Committee for all their work that they do. You know, it's endless work throughout the year. It's not just a week or two before this event or Veterans Day. It's throughout the year. They put in a lot of time and effort. So on behalf of the City Council, thank you very much. Would you stand up, please, Veterans Committee? Thank you for all your work. And before I proceed, I'd like to mention my father-in-law who passed away in November, Edward Pat Boydler. He was 95 years old, and he was a military Navy man, so in his memory as well. At this time, I'd like to invite Adam Schiff, United States Congressman representing California's 28th District, to say a few words.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. And doesn't Bobby Cranston sound great whether she has a microphone or not? Good afternoon, and I want to thank the City of Burbank and the Burbank Veterans Committee for having us all here today, and a special thank you to Mickey DiPaolo, who I know comes from far out of town each year to come back. You can take Mickey out of Burbank, but you can't take the Burbank out of Mickey, and we're so fortunate that's true. Every day, hundreds of thousands of brave men and women wake up and serve our country with distinction. They risk their lives to keep us safe and the freedoms we hold dear, safe and secure. Today, we gather as a community to express our gratitude for their service, and we pause to remember the many heroes who have paid the ultimate sacrifice, laying down their lives so that we may at home live in peace and prosperity. We can never fully repay them or their families for their selflessness, but what we can do, what we must do today and every day, is honor their memory. That means sharing their stories so future generations never forget their courage. It means showing up and caring for the loved ones that they left behind. It means supporting their brothers and sisters in arms when they do return home, and helping our veterans pursue rich, full lives in their memory. Today, I am especially thinking about the 13 U.S. service members who were killed last August in Kabul, Afghanistan. I'm thinking of their families who are marking their first Memorial Day without their beloved children, their spouses, their friends, and their family. It is a beautiful thing to have people who are not afraid to risk it all. But there's no greater tragedy than when they are lost, and often they are lost so young. We owe them so very much. Thank you to all who are gathered here today, and to all who have served this nation in uniform. We salute you, and God bless you. And if I may, although it is not a memorial for that purpose today, I would ask that we keep in our hearts and in our prayers the families who are grieving in Uvalde, Texas. May the memory of their loved ones be for a blessing. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Congressman. I'd like to invite California State Senator Anthony Portentino, representing California's 43rd Assembly District. Welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to echo the sentiment to say thank you to Mickey DiPaolo for coming in, for putting this on. Let's give a big round of applause to Mickey and the Veterans Committee for bringing us out today. I'm always struck by my friend Gary Brick, who reads his brother's name every year, and I think about how that must be special and sad, all wrapped up in one. So Gary, it's always good to see you, and thank you for being here as well, and the entire Veterans Committee. What struck me, you talk about the ultimate sacrifice. You talk about people who have paid so we can be here today. And Barack Obama once said, "We owe a debt to the fallen that we can never repay." We owe a debt to the fallen that we can never repay. And certainly the 300 names on the memorial, the 300 names that we read today, Burbank has paid an enormous price for the freedoms that allow us to be here today. So if we could indulge me for a moment and just honor them by sharing this moment, by saying hello to the person next to you. And if they're a veteran, say thank you for serving our country. If they're a first responder, say thank you for keeping us safe. Take a moment. You know, this is a special community that has had so many sons and daughters pay the ultimate sacrifice so we can be here today. So thank you for doing that. Obviously, I'm honored to be here as the son of a World War II veteran and nephew to other veterans, so I could have a piece of the American dream and be here and serve in the California State Senate. So I say thank you to my relatives who shared the honor of serving our country. I had not had that privilege or that honor. I was of the generation that was spared that. And so many young people today are fighting for our freedoms and fighting so we could congregate here today. And so I'd just like to say thank you. Thank you to Burbank for appropriately commemorating and memorializing our fallen men and women. And the song Forever Young just strikes me so poignantly, because if you think about the impact that the 300 Burbank fallen men and women could have made had they come back. Would they have been a local doctor? Would they have been a local teacher? Would they have invented the cure for cancer? What sacrifice have we paid by losing so many of our young people to keep our freedoms? And so that's why I think this ceremony, this remembrance and this memorial is so powerful, because it's real. These were brothers, sons, daughters, sisters, nephews who could have been fathers and mothers and grandmothers and grandparents, but were denied that pleasure so we could be here today. So thank you for coming together each and every year to commemorate the fallen and to say thank you to those who serve our country, and God bless America.
Thank you, Senator. Please help me welcome Laura Friedman, Assembly Member.
Good afternoon. It's really gratifying to see so many people turn out today for Memorial Day. And I do think, I was looking around, and I think that there might be a bigger turnout today than there was in the last few years. And that's a good thing. And I'm going to tell you something, and not to make anybody feel at all ashamed, and it's not a competition or anything like that, but I was speaking to one of my colleagues, and I asked him how many Memorial Day events he was going to be attending. This was someone in Los Angeles. And he told me none, that he didn't know of anything in his area. And I found that really shocking, because we have several good-sized Memorial Day events in this area between Burbank and Glendale and La Cañada, La Crescenta, Montrose. And that's something that we should all take pride in. And looking around, I'm especially gratified to see so many young people here today, because passing that tradition along is so incredibly important. And I want to especially call out the Scouts. I'm the mom of a Girl Scout, so I want to call out the Girl Scouts in particular, if you'll allow me, for their participation, because it's very, very important that these events grow, as I hope our fallen war heroes shrink over time. I also want to say to the Gold Star families and the veterans among us that today is Memorial Day and not Veterans Day, but this is a day when we want to acknowledge your service and your losses. You represent the best of us. I think of my mother and her mother before her, who waited until their betrothed came home from serving to get married, although my mother and father eloped when he was home on leave. And my great uncle Marty, who lives with my mother, who is a World War II veteran and also sharp as a tack today. He is the pride of our family. And I do want to mention my Uncle Alan, who served as a combat medic in Vietnam. And I mention him because he struggles mightily with what he experienced and what he saw in Vietnam to this day. And I always call him on Memorial Day in particular, because it is a very hard day for him. He's someone who, I think a part of him is still in Vietnam. And I say this as a very humble suggestion for those of you who know anyone in your inner universe who either served or who lost someone serving, that today is the day to reach out to that family and that individual and let them know that you see them, you are there to support them, and you are recognizing their loss, and that you're there to help fill a little bit of that hole that can't be filled. With that, thank you all for being here, and God bless you and God bless America.
Thank you, Assembly Member. You know, it's been said that it's nice to gather together after the couple of 3 years that we've gone through. Let's come together as a family, recognizing and remembering our heroes that have gone before us. So it's one of those things that I hope we think about during the course of the year, not just when we come together on this day, or like I mentioned on Veterans Day. Let's stop and pause and give thanks as you're saying prayers, or whatever, you know, whatever fashion you recognize God. Remember the memories. Remember everything that the people that have come before us have sacrificed for. And us, our freedom. There's so much negativity happening in today's world that, you know, it's just hurtful. When I watch the news, sometimes, you know, you want to decide, I just want to turn it off. That's all you hear is negative stuff. How about the Scouts? Obviously, the Scouts that come out and help every year. You know, let's hear it for them. You know, I'm a proud father of 2 Eagle Scouts. So it's, yeah, both of my sons are Eagle Scouts. My daughter was in Girl Scouts. She couldn't achieve her gold award, which is the top honor for Girl Scouts, because she was busy getting a softball scholarship. So, it's one of those things that happen along the way. And, obviously looking in retrospect, her two brothers are Eagles, and she came this close to becoming a gold awardee. But nonetheless, we're very proud, and I want to thank everybody that's taken the time to come out here. I know it takes time to prepare to come out. I'm sure the thoughts come out to some people. Is the weather good? Is it going to be too hot, too cold, too windy? But nonetheless, thank you for your sacrifices of coming out here, and I appreciate everybody out here. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Mayor Talamontes, and thanks for all our dignitaries for speaking today. And Assemblymember Friedman came up with something that really struck. Her brother is suffering from PTSD. And one of our main goals that we do at the VFW is that we want to serve our veterans and their families. So if there's any veterans here today that are seeking help from the Veterans Administration or seeking help, period, that are struggling, if you'd be so kind, you could either come up and talk to me after the ceremony, or you can go to the VFW table right over here to my right and put down your name and phone number or your email. You don't have to use your last name if you don't want to. I promise you we'll get in contact with you, and we will do our very best to send you in the right direction and help you in any way we possibly can. I always encourage veterans, men and women, to go out and serve your community. There's nothing like it. And to show that it honors the memory of the people the men and women that have laid their lives down for our country. It honors their memory. And it's a win-win situation. You get the greatest feeling in the world when you serve others. And I speak from firsthand experience. Selfishly speaking, I couldn't do without it. And it's a real honor and a privilege to do that. So while we're still vertical, let's make it an effort to get out and serve our communities. And now for the benediction from my colleague, Mr. Paul McKenna, who also served in the Marines and the Army. And to be followed by Amazing Grace by the Burbank Community Band, and followed by Chaps by the Burbank Community Band. Thank you. Mr. McKenna.
As we leave here today and begin our day, I'm reminded of the Irish ballad of William McBride. It talks about a man walking past the headstone in Flanders Field. He stops to talk with him, ask him if he knew. If he knew that swore to end all wars was a lie. Because it's happened again, and again, and again. Every generation believes that they'll be able to do it. Let's continue to try. These men and women have been taken from us. Not just the missing place that sits empty at the family table, not just the hole that's been left in so many hearts, but also the talents that we've been robbed of. As I pass the Veterans Cemetery, I often wonder, does the cure for cancer or the great American novel lie there? What might have these lives have accomplished had they not been sacrificed? What would the price have been on our freedom had they not stepped away from the crowd and served? All that we can ask of each other is that we live a life worth defending, worth sacrificing for. Live as President Lincoln declared in the Gettysburg Address, as one nation under God. God has blessed America. With men and women willing to serve her and defend her. May we never forget that freedom is not free. This morning we remember and we mourn our loss. This afternoon we will celebrate that these people lived. Thank you. Amen.
Please be seated. Thank you all for attending our wonderful ceremony today. And let's, like we've said numerous times in today's ceremony, always remember the cost of freedom. And when you drive by here, say a silent prayer. And realize that we are very, very fortunate to live in a wonderful country, but we would not have these freedoms without the fallen. Later on today, I understand CBS at 3 p.m. our time is doing a nationwide playing of taps on the CBS network. if you are so inclined. It's at 3 p.m. our time, 6 p.m. Eastern time. And also to kind of remember and to celebrate our freedom, the Elks and the VFW, the Elks on Hollywood Way and the VFW at 1006 West Magnolia are welcoming the Burbank community. They're doing a barbecue and just some fellowship, and so feel free to stop by. And once again, thank you very much for the honor you give me to stand before you each year. I'm forever grateful, and I'm honored more than words can say, and thank you for that opportunity. And have a wonderful rest of the day. Remember what the purpose of this day is. God bless you. God bless you all, and God bless our wonderful country. Thank you.